And all right.
Okay, so this is Jim McDonald, Chair of the Yountville Arts Commission, and I'm calling to order the Monday, July 12th, 2021 meeting. So why don't we start with a roll call?
All right, thank you. Hi, Cindy. Commissioner Caption, if you could just say you're here and that you can hear us. Awesome. Commissioner Cant.
Here.
Commissioner Resnick.
Here.
Commissioner Scher.
Here.
Vice Chair Cook.
Oh, sorry. Here.
And Chair McDonald.
Sorry.
Here.
All right, and let the record reflect that Commissioner Wordsworth is absent as of now.
And so we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pam, do you have a flag or no? Okay, so I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thank you. So do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Anyone?
I motion to adopt the agenda.
I second it. I second it.
So roll call.
Commissioner Caption. You're unmuted, Cindy.
Sorry.
That's a go.
Okay, that's good. Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Cant.
Green.
Commissioner Resnick.
Here.
Commissioner Scher.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cook.
Yes.
And Chair McDonald.
Yes.
Thank you.
So the next item is approval of the minutes from the June 6th, 2021 meeting. So do I have a motion to adopt or
I'll make a motion to.
any comments in terms of changes or amendments or additions?
No, I thought the minutes were very complete. Thank you very much. And I'll make a motion to adopt them as presented.
I had a question of Sam earlier, and that
sorry.
was just correcting the price on the two sculptures.
Oh.
We did say 48,000 at the meeting, but in reality it's 47,000. So I'm not sure how that works with the minutes, but it seemed like the price should be reflected accurately.
Yeah, we can definitely update that in the minutes.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
So that was under the Raven and Polly conversation.
Right, yes.
Right.
If everybody's aware.
I think that is the correct amount in the staff report that's going to go to the council, the 47.
Thank you.
If there aren't any other changes or amendments, let's go back to Commissioner Cook, who has made a motion to adopt the minutes as amended, right?
Yes.
So do we have a second?
I second.
Anyone?
Commissioner Resnick. Okay.
Okay, so roll call.
Commissioner Caption.
I wasn't there, so
Oh,
can I
okay.
vote?
So we'll abstain you.
Okay.
Commissioner Cant.
Yes.
Commissioner Resnick.
Yes.
Commissioner Scher.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cook.
Yes.
And Chair McDonald.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's see. And I guess I skipped over, there are no public comments, right?
Let me double check again, just because I like to do that. I checked earlier and there were not, but let me make sure. Sorry, it's opening. Nope, there are no public comments.
Okay, so I guess the first item on the agenda to go over is the Art Fund report.
Great, thank you. So included in your packet was the the end of year statements as of June 30th. Please do note that we still do have some revenue and expenses that will be coming in and out of the accounts as we finish up the year end. So this isn't a complete, it's just as of June 30th, because if purchases have taken place, mostly like with my credit card reconciliation or an invoice that comes in a little later but was actually purchased in June, it will still go back to that fiscal year. So I'll just quickly share my screen and go through this. Do you see the fund report?
I do.
Yes,
Just making sure. Okay, because my split screen gets all weird. So this is the Yountville Arts Program general fund account. This is all of our expenses for Art Sip and Stroll, as well as the gallery and our different art events. And so our revenue as of June 30th was just under 34,000. That did not include the $7,500 from the NBT or the Yountville TID, their sponsorship for Art Sip and Stroll. So that's not reflected in there. So we will end the year pretty close to our adopted budget. And then as far as expenses, as of June 30th, we're just at just over 45,000. Again, there are some more expenses that will come into that account from mainly Art Sip and Stroll, and then a few for the gallery events that we've had. So, but we actually, I feel like we'll be ending the year in a really great position based on, you know, some of our trepidation around revenue and Art Sip and Stroll and some additional expenses. I think it's all going to pencil out perfectly. Also in the general fund, but we split out, is our art sales. So we go over this each meeting as well. So we have sold just under $112,000 in art this year. And so that would be made up of all of our sculpture sales, as well as some of the gallery sales as well. So that is $112,000 in revenue. And then we've paid out just under $78,000 in expenses. So that would be payments to artists. And I believe that that is pretty well encompassing all of our payments. I went through it last week briefly, and all of the artists have been compensated for their sales. And so our commission on those art sales this fiscal year is $26,341. And so that is most likely a pretty final number, and we would expect that number is what will be transferred into the Town of Yountville Community Foundation at the when we close out the end of the fiscal year. The next,
Why does it show it the opposite way? Why does it say it's red, it's expenditures over revenue?
I don't know why it's red. It says down here, excess art sale revenue is transferred to the Town of Yountville Community Foundation with the asterisk. So I'm not sure. I think it shows red because it's a plus. I don't, but it says it's a minus. I don't know. I'll have to ask Kyle.
Yeah, it says it's
but I know
minus.
that the correct is we've made this money. So
Yeah, I had the
Okay.
same. I had the same
Oh,
question.
yeah.
I'm sure a lot of
so that's the difference. I'm sorry. I do understand why this is saying. So this is the difference in what was budgeted. So we budgeted to make 60,000. We didn't budget any expense. And so that's the actual, I guess. So
yeah, that's kind of funny.
it is a strange way to look
Yeah.
at it. So I will ask him about that and see if we can update how that's listed.
Yeah, because yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
to have a revenue of 60,000, we would
Actual.
have to sell 80% more of that. I mean, it would be
Yeah.
like $250,000. I mean, it would be huge.
So if you see here, this is the difference column. So it's the difference between what we adopted as a budget. And so it's just really a way that finance looks at things. It's not super relevant to the way we look at it. Because we don't typically adopt a budget for our revenue and expenses for sales because we don't have any idea what that'll look like. So, but I can talk to him about updating how this report looks.
Irregardless of the report, it's a fantastic number that we
Yes.
made that amount of money.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. It is terrific. So this is the public art program fee fund. This is the restricted fund for the art walk. And so we have just under 33,000 was transferred into the revenue account this year from closed out projects, commercial building permit projects, and then we've spent just under 32,000. So it's kind of a net. We've sold a lot this year, which means we've brought in a lot more sculptures, paid for more stipends. And so it really was a big year all the way around. But we've stayed, there'll be some minor expenses coming out. There won't be any revenue transferring in, so we should end the year pretty close to where we began. So that fund has stayed consistent.
And what's interesting is if you look at the actuals, what came in from the 1% was almost 33,000, and what we spent was 32,000. So that's nicely balanced there.
Yeah, for sure. For having so much action this year, it worked out well. And so any questions, other questions on those two reports? No? Okay, so we'll just quickly look at the Town of Yountville Community Foundation. And that fund has seen no change since our last meeting. So as you know, you did request from council for the purchase of Polly and Raven. So that is something that's pending. That'll go before them on the 20th, as well as the payment for updating of the Yountville or the underpass mural project. So that's pending here. But you'll also see that $26,000 from the art sales come into this account. So you should be staying pretty consistent with that fund balance in here as well as we head into the next year. So, all right, any questions about that fund? Oops. All right.
Okay. So next on the agenda is a report from the Art Walk Subcommittee. Anything to report, Kim?
Not really. The only thing I have to report is that Rhonda made another sale, which is always good news. She sold Sweet Jack, the rabbit that's in the park at the north end of French Laundry Garden. And he will stay for a little while until they're ready. They're finishing their home or something like that.
Yeah, they're early in construction. So we gave him 6 months. And I'm thinking at that point, maybe he will have a place on his property where he can move it. But it was generous of you to give him 6 months. And if something came along that we wanted to place there was a perfect spot, then I'll readdress it with him.
Yeah, we have the spot behind that in the same park with a placeholder right now. So I think it will work out fine.
Great, thank you for that.
Can I ask where the buyer is? Local or out of the area?
He's out of the area building a new home a couple of miles out of Yountville, as he said. And one of the main reasons, one of the things he mentioned continually during the process was he really wanted to feel a part of the community. He really wanted the community to know that he was coming in new to the community, but he really was supporting us. And he's proud to leave it on the art walk. And if anybody asks, we have bragging rights if we chose to. So anyway, I think he's from Southern California, but
yeah, he's in Malibu.
Yeah.
And that he's going to be relocating his family here. It sounded like once the home is done. So
yeah.
Nice.
Perfect.
Nice. And I have nothing coming or going or changing. So that's it for me.
Okay. And I don't know that we have anything new from on the gallery front. We have Guy Buffet through the summer. And then Rhonda and I met with our next artist, Brad Holmes, who will be in the doing both video and photography in the gallery in the fall. related to extreme sports. Rhonda, do you want to add to either Guy or Brad in terms of exhibits? You want to add anything?
Well, this this Saturday on the 17th, we're kicking off the promotion of Tour de Yountville, which is that great piece that was adapted with chaos in the background. And it's also one of our donation pieces, which reminds me to ask Sam, do we have a total on the donation raffle tickets?
While you're talking, let me look how
Okay.
many we sold.
Anyway, it's a promotion. I think we're just encouraging Guy and Lydia in the gallery, hoping people will ride their bikes over and either purchase. They have prints of that are for sale, and then of course the raffle is on that piece too. So that's the most immediate promotion with Guy. And then with regard to Brad, as you say, we met with Brad. He's a super guy. He's got a lot of Yountville support from his family, which was really nice to see. And so we're kind of waiting for final images and for his final thought process on the exhibition. But I think it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be very different, and it's going to have a really nice level for the gallery.
Perfect. And unless there are any questions. Noelle.
I was wondering, and it was actually sparked by a question from Lydia, and I think it's a really good question overall. If we might be able to move the banner that sits on the railing to the side of the gallery above the gallery, or is there an issue in terms of signage? I wasn't sure.
We moved it out to the front of the community center last week. So it's been out at the street front since I think Thursday or Friday.
Right.
But we can't put it on the building because of the signage restrictions in town. So,
But that's great that it's moved over there. I haven't been through town recently. Oh, that's terrific. Okay, great. And I can give her a reason also that we can't do it. I thought that might be a problem because it
I
seems like
skirt the issue a little bit when I put it on the railing to, test. Yeah, I don't get yelled at too far. So, but yeah, the signage thing through ZDRB is always something that
all
we're
good.
conscious of.
Thanks, Sam.
We've sold 50 raffle tickets as of today.
So it's $500. Or no, not necessarily. Whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, right around there. Yeah.
Sam, we have the second banner. Is that the second gallery banner?
No, not right now. Yeah, because we have another. Well, we have competing interests going on, so I don't have anywhere. I could put it back. I could put a second one back on the railing and have one out front. If you want me to do that, but the spot at Veterans Park is taken right now with the Music in the Park banner. So yeah,
I do have a comment about the event on the 17th. Jim, I have been posting some of these Guy Buffet things on Nextdoor, but I'm kind of mad in the middle of the Mount Veeder Fire Safety Council promotions for their wine auction running this week. So I'm probably not the best one to do anything.
Well,
for
I can pick that up easily. I've done that in the past. So
yeah.
and it's on there. It's on Nextdoor as an event, but once people see that the first time, it doesn't like pop back up. I don't think so. Having some conversation is good.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you, Jim.
Let me just say, so that is. Yeah, let me try to do that. We're gonna actually be out of town from tomorrow through coming back Friday. So I'll try to get something up for on Nextdoor. So
I also created something for the Chamber of Commerce newsletter, which now is going to be bi-weekly. There's been so much interest in it and so many new chamber members that it's just getting overwhelming. So now it'll be bi-weekly, but they had been posting Tour de Yountville with just the Guy Buffet artwork that we have from the gallery, which is lovely. But I sent them the Tour de Yountville artwork and also Saturday Night Fever, which is the artwork with the dogs on the piano. And on the top of the copy, they're promoting Tour de Yountville, and on the bottom, I have them promoting the raffle. So, and then the 2 raffle pieces are there. So hopefully that'll get a little bit more of the community aware of the raffle too.
Super.
Great.
And I did provide all of this stuff for Lydia if, and she's been, I've heard her saying in the gallery, if people want to buy them, she's able to do that as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think that's probably about it. In terms of the gallery, nothing new for literary, other than we do have Yountville Out Loud on September 9th in the Community Center Plaza. So, so let's jump from literary to marketing and PR subcommittee, and that would be Cindy, right?
Yes. Oh, but before we leave that, the literary, there are poems now in front of the Art Walk sculptures, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think we, that's a collaboration between Marianne Lyon, our county poet laureate, and Samantha. Samantha has supported her with laminating and putting the poems out. So I was going to mention that during the Art Walk subcommittee because it relates to our Art Walk, but thank you, Sam, for getting those poems out and around town.
Yeah, there's a few more. I needed to get some more stakes, and then I need to go back around, I think, and touch some of them up. But it's kind of fun. I see people stopping and reading them, and it's nice. It's a nice little collaboration. So we'll leave those up until the 1st of August and then take them down.
That's great.
Okay.
And then I might work with the Art Walk subcommittee because we do have some space on the map. It might be kind of fun to, put a little bubble out of one of the poems as it relates to the Art Walk, if that's something that we were interested in doing on the map. I'm working on, this is marketing, Cindy, I'm jumping in here. So I'm working on trying to convert the Art Walk map onto Canva so that we're kind of freshening it up and taking a different way of being able to update it, which I could then potentially share with others to assist me, because right now it's in InDesign, which is an Adobe product. It's very, it's not user-friendly, it's difficult, and you have to buy licenses. So if I can get everything on Canva, then I know Kim's always so eager to assist me in updating the map. So it's something that we potentially, not just with Kim, but with Danielle, can better share that duty, but also just taking a fresh look at it. So
absolutely. Thank you.
Canva, C-A-N-V-A?
Yeah, I have, Canva, C-A-N-V-A. They have a lot of free graphic design stuff, and then you can upgrade your membership. But in all honesty, I'm converting everything that we're doing from InDesign to Canva because it's just so much more user-friendly. And once you upgrade for the low price, you get a ton of free graphics. It's all it's all copyrighted already. You don't have to worry about buying copyright for fonts and all of that like you do on InDesign. So it's really fantastic.
InDesign was probably 8 years ago or so that we
Yeah,
got
and
into that, and it was advanced but
useful
complicated.
for that,
yeah,
but it
yeah,
is
but
not
complicated.
easy. It's not an easy program. So
No.
yeah.
That sounds awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, great.
Great. Okay, so for the marketing and PR, basically not too much going on. We, with the Tour de Yountville coming up, I'll be sending out promotional emails to bicyclists and cycling clubs and bike shops and that sort of thing, using the artwork that's on the shared drive. The only other thing, and then I'm gonna toss it to Noelle, who's been, like championing our cause. But before I do that, I just wanted to get back to something that, because I wasn't sure what where this would belong, but we talked a lot about the press release. You know, the press release should go out because now we've had what $112,000 worth of sales. So that's something that that I didn't know where that would come out, but I did think that wherever it came out, like Noelle's always saying, you know, don't bury the lead. And I think that the lead in this case is Kim Cook saying, you know, don't expect to sell anything, because that's just like such a great line.
I know. I know.
So whoever writes that article, you know, or in conjunction with it, that seems to me to be the lead.
Well, it seems like would gladly start it, and then I'll pass it along to you guys to make it into something better. Okay. I promise.
But in something Noelle was talking about, the chamber helping that. So how does that work? I mean, do we?
It's working. I'll tell you. You're just teeing it. You're teeing it all up for me. So I was just waiting for you to finish.
Okay, so I'll officially finish then. Thank you.
No need. But it's just perfect. Everything you're saying, because I can follow up on all of that.
Okay, go for it.
Yes, we talked about that wonderful thing, and it seemed to me like it was a really big story. And then when I was going through our Google Drive, I noticed Kim's and Sam's release that went out in November when we had sold so many, which was a really good start. And I thought, all right, we've already had one. I wasn't sure where that went, but I was able to spend some time with Whitney and Jessica, and they were absolutely just awestruck when I told them about the sales. And it was just like opening a door for me to once again make my big push about Yountville Arts and how important it is, and how we just need to really be supporting that. And having that $100 plus in sales, and the success of Art Sip and Stroll, and all the things that have been going on, it's kind of like a little bit of a perfect storm for us in a good way. So they love the idea of doing a joint press release with the PR firm that often helps us with Art Sip and Stroll and things, but they are officially on the payroll of the chamber, and that's Fuller and Sanders. And they asked me to have a meeting with Tom Fuller, which I did. And after we talked about things, we were thinking, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to pull up my notes, that to just have a press release that just says $100,000 sold, it's kind of there, it sits there, which is great. And I'm not saying we shouldn't still have one, but we were both thinking, and what my real goal is to make everybody aware that Yountville Arts needs to be as important to the town of Yountville as food and wine. And just like one diversifies their portfolio of stocks, that the chamber and the town of Yountville also has to depend on Yountville Arts as a reason for tourism to come here, as a reason for the community to engage, that it needs to be uplifted, and that we've really worked hard through the art walk, through the gallery, through the literary events, through everything. It's like, this is where we need to go now. This is the next step. And everybody agreed. And Tom Fuller was really excited about it. And what he agrees is that we need now to really support Yountville Arts in all efforts. When a FAM tour comes to town, and that is influencers, that's travel writers, magazines, they need to now promote the art walk. They need to insist and take people on the art walk and talk about it, not just say, oh, and in your free time, you might like to see our art walk. So they're very much on board now for really promoting it, really touting it when writers come to town, really making it more of an integral part of the fabric of what Yountville is all about. And I'm so excited about that. But he felt that to just do a press release saying we've sold this much doesn't have the legs we need. It doesn't have the legs it could have if we are more if we're more strategic in when we release that information. And we could always still release our own, but my bigger goal was to get everybody on board to take this ride with us to start to promote Yountville Arts more. And he was so excited about the gift guide and having the art walk in the gift guide. And I don't know if everybody's aware, I know Sam, you are, but sometime possibly in first quarter, There was a film crew out here for, I'm not sure if it's Netflix or Amazon Prime, but there's a documentary called The Story of Art. And
Yeah,
that's
it's Amazon.
coming out.
It's an
Is that
Amazon
Amazon
series.
Prime?
Yeah.
And that was filmed, and it really focused on Yountville and the arts. And they're thinking that if that airs in a timely manner, maybe that's a way to really, really push everything with that broadcast and all, having a premiere and highlighting our Yountville arts. These are just things we were talking about. So he's meeting with Jessica this week to talk about all of this. And I know the chamber is on board to really be engaged with us in working to promote things. So although we may not be having a specific press release with those numbers in it, I personally accomplished what I had hoped to get everybody on board to really be supporting us in everything that we're doing and really understanding how the arts are such an important part of this town. I also have an executive board meeting for the Chamber of Commerce this week. And one of the things we were asked to do before the meeting is, how can we push the Chamber of Commerce? What can we make them think about, not make them, but what can we have them think about that is going to even push them further? And it was my perfect opportunity to talk about diversifying and having Yountville arts even more important in just the focal point of promoting the town of Yountville. So I submitted all my thoughts. We had to do it in writing first, and then we're having a meeting this week, and that'll be Steve and Stephanie, who's the chairman of the board of directors. Steve Rogers is there, Julie Secviar she's now with Farniente, and myself, and we're going to be talking about all these things. So I'm really excited once again to have Steve's ear. I know he knows how we all feel, but once again to say this should be a focal point. We need to be supporting Yountville arts, not as a sideline, but as part of this town, and a serious reason for people to come here. And I think people saw that over the pandemic. Nothing was open, but we had visitors all the time, and they loved our art walk. And we have the audio tour, and we have the gallery, and we just have so much. So I'll get off that soapbox now, but that's what's happening.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
Noelle,
as you recall,
the work you do is amazing.
We initially had a committee at our last retreat that was about really promoting the arts as a destination. So we've been working towards all that with all the good work that everybody has been doing in putting events out there that are getting attention. And it's just, now is the time. I think we've hit our tipping point, and that $100,000 of sales really gets everybody's ears. And
I think somebody mentioned it last time, using the term more like shop our art walk, something.
Yes.
Come and shop Yountville for art type thing.
And I think we'll
That
get a
can
lot
all
of
be
bang
worked
for our
in there,
buck
yeah.
when we promote it in the gift guide. I don't think anybody's ever done that before. I think probably we'll design one page with a few pieces, but basically we'll say, here's the map, it's all for sale.
Yeah.
It's just a fun concept. And I also sent Tom Fuller the beautiful piece of art that Rhonda gift wrapped for one of our purchasers at Christmas time. And I said, look, Tom, we even gift wrap our art. So
there you go.
So I really had him going, and I know Jessica and Whitney are totally on board. So and they're really excited about next year's Art Sip and Stroll too. Okay. So I think we've got a lot of engagement happening, and we can all really take advantage of it.
I have two comments. One, thank you very much, Noelle, for all your amazing work and getting it out there. I think
my pleasure.
My two comments are I don't know if towns have a organizational chart or whatever, how it's like CEO and CFO and peons and stuff, but Yountville is now like wine plus food plus art, right? I mean, in the org chart, it's wine plus food plus art. So harkening back to like Mondavi's vision, right? So so that's one comment I have. The other comment was something that Robin brought up a while ago, like probably just before the pandemic, made everybody not want to talk to each other, and that was having commissioners. I was thinking, along the lines of what Kim just sort of just touched on, instead of like, shop the walk. I was thinking, what about like walk the walk? You know, like walk the walk. I would like to walk the walk with you know, any of you guys. I think it's interesting because I mean, when I walked the walk with Jim and Noelle, I really learned a lot about the artists, and you know, it wasn't just twisted metal to me anymore, and so it was just you know, very interesting. So I think that maybe we should break off and have at our next subcommittee meeting, you know, something along that line of you know, do you want to walk the walk with an arts commissioner? I mean, because the other reason that I'm sort of suggesting that is I don't think it's all up to the chamber. I wouldn't want, I mean, you know, we are not the Chamber of Commerce. We are, you know, under the town, and the town and the chamber need to keep separate. So anyhow, just those are my two thoughts, and they're unformed.
Yeah. And of course, if anybody from out of town or in town wants to a guided tour of the walk, it falls on us to provide it.
Right. Does that happen very often? Or, I mean, like when Noelle is saying, oh, you know, a writer, so the writer from Food and Wine comes to town and they want to, you know, explore the gallery or the art walk, would they contact you, Noelle? Is that how it worked?
No. These people are solicited by Fuller and Sander. They're a full-on working PR agency for the chamber, and they are reaching out to Departures magazine, to different magazines, travel magazines, Afar, things like that, and or influencers, and
Right.
then they come to town and they plan the itinerary for them. So the
Okay.
itinerary is created through the PR firm, and what they're saying now is they realize that now they have to talk more about the art here.
So
in
for
town.
example,
Well-
Jessica Penman from the chamber was leading a fam tour, you know, back before the pandemic, but, you know, she was comfortable doing that, and they wanted to focus on the art. So she was comfortable showing them, and we provided her with the notes for the tour. And so, that was actually filmed, I believe. That was a different tour, sorry. But sometimes they do contact us. And so then I reach out to, you know, usually it's Noelle and Jim, or, and say, you know, are you interested in leading a tour? It's not always for marketing purposes. We do have it on our website that we do tours. Initially, the concept was kind of like, we'll do them once a month regularly, but we've really that wasn't very successful. People, what we're finding is groups are calling ahead of time to try to schedule it. And sometimes it works and sometimes they don't follow up, but it's definitely something we could market more. It's just having, you know, commissioners to be able to, you know, facilitate those tours. So.
Okay. We'll discuss it more, I think, down the road.
Yeah.
It is something that we could make the hotels aware of if they have a corporate group in town, a high-end group, and they're looking for a spouse event while the board meeting is taking place. We could offer to do a hosted tour with the spouses and then hand them off to lunch somewhere that's already pre-planned.
I think that was the last one we did do. It was a group of wives mainly, and then we dropped them off at the wine tasting room at the end. I think that was a while ago, but I think that's the last one we did. So
it'd be nice.
Yeah. Okay.
So no, that's the one we planned to do. And Cindy had the art, and then it got canceled because of the pandemic.
That one.
See, in my mind, we did this, but we didn't. We canceled it. We
did it. We all did it. They just didn't show up because of the pandemic, but we were ready for them. We were ready to tour them. Cindy had the gift ready for them. Everything was in place. But you know, to your point, Sam, it is equally important that people reach out to us. It is not just for marketing. We market so more people will reach out to us and say, I want to take your tour. So anybody that comes straight through us, that's wonderful, because they are aware and they want to engage. The marketing aspect is to make sure more people are aware of what we have to offer. So the two really go hand in hand. It's not one or the other. It's both working together. And one other little thing I forgot. while Guy has been in the gallery from the opening night on, Tim and I have been filming little bits and pieces, and we actually got in the gallery with him one morning and interviewed him. So we've had just lots and lots of work lately, and with deadlines and things, but soon we hope to have that completed video, and we can put it on our website, Yountville Arts website, so that should be a nice piece. So if it suddenly pops up, that's how that came about.
Great.
And Sam, I'll get that to you as soon as it's ready.
Thank you.
So one more thing, just to kind of step back a little bit to where we started with a press release on the sales on our art walk. I think that benefits the community awareness. I think it's especially helpful in soliciting other artists. I mean, we have a lot to say. And even if it's only meant or only appears locally, then we can still have something printed that we can point to. So, you know, Noelle is doing an amazing job with the chamber, which, you know, we've never experienced before.
No.
But stepping back a little bit to what we could do within ourselves, is there a plan to do that? Do we have someone who could create that story and carry it through to a full release with, I think Yountville Sun would pick it up, Franson would probably pick it up. You know,
I think Kim,
Yeah,
you said you would start that off and then.
Yeah, I can get it started off.
And then we
And
can
then-
kind of journalistically
Yeah.
massage it in the right way.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because I hate to totally abandon it. It's sort of like when we're working with the PR firm that's under a contract and all that, we want to get the most bang for our buck with them. And I was also wondering, where do our PR releases go? How are they distributed? Is
So
there
the
a
town,
certain?
the town has its own release list, so we email that out to everyone. And then I've also
You are nothing
internally.
but trouble.
Sorry,
Sorry. I thought I had mute on. Yes, we have a new kitten
Oh,
who is nothing but trouble today and wants to be all over my keyboard.
Very
Sorry.
cute.
and I
Sorry.
also just have created more of a broader outreach list that I send it out to. That's not because the town's list tends to be local. So the Napa Register, the Paul Franson, the Yountville Sun, the KVON, KVYN. So it tends to be, and then it goes out on our Facebook, it goes out on nextdoor.com. And then it's listed as news on the town's website. And then I also created, a few years ago, and I continue to kind of morph it more of an arts outreach. And so that is more Bay Area based. So, goes to the Chronicle and, not that it always lands on someone who actually even opens it, but at least I'm trying. So, so I sent it out to that. It's about, I think I have about 12 or 13 on there now. And like we made a good contact. Cindy did with some arts organizations when we were preparing for Art Sip and Stroll. So I've added those arts organizations to it.
So that's really great. And I agree with Rhonda 100%. We shouldn't abandon it on our level, because we're trying to get artists, because all this art you've sold, Rhonda.
And we should be proud of it.
Left
yeah.
our town
Exciting.
colorless. It's left our town colorless without artists.
And
We got lots of metal,
it's not just the dollars. I think it's pretty amazing the number of pieces that have sold off the artwork.
And how it benefits those artists is so important, especially through this pandemic when artists have had, virtually no way of selling their art. We have sold so much art. And so I think there's a great story to tell there, how, not just how it helps sustain the Arts Commission with the commission funding, but how it's supported these artists through the pandemic, I think is a pretty great story too. So,
Absolutely.
yes.
And I want to make it perfectly clear. I see our marketing attack as two-pronged. We don't want to abandon anything locally. Everything locally and in the Bay Area or wherever it goes is so important, because we do need artists. I keep saying we have a lot of empty pads now, thanks to Rhonda. And we do need to keep attracting artists. And now that the pandemic is over, I know that Kim, you and Rhonda will probably be out there and interacting with people a lot more. And with the chamber, it's more of a bigger picture for them to realize the importance of Yountville arts, which they already do, but to start acting on it to support all of this along with Yountville arts and our local community. So I think it's just a win-win, and I totally agree, Rhonda, that we need to get that release out. And then I will send what we do on to the chamber and to Tom, just to say all the reasons we felt it was important to do this, but we will rely on you, Fuller and Sander, for the bigger picture when people are coming out. And we'll see what happens when he meets with Jessica next week too. I know they're all very excited about what we talked about.
Okay.
And the
I
other
have two
thing
more.
that I think is important in improving or in including in our release is not only as to echo Sam's comment that we're supporting the arts and the artists, but people are spiritually lifted when they're talking about adding a piece of art to their yard. And the people are the best to work with. They've been happy to have something that brings them some life during the pandemic. So, we've been fortunate. We've had great participation of visitors coming into town, but it is for the artists. It's also for the people who are purchasing. So, and us. So it's a win-win-win, Noel. So it's all good.
And maybe to build on what you're saying, maybe we do need some quotes from some purchasers, how they found the art and decided to buy it off the art walk. And if there are any positive quotes from the sculptors themselves in terms of being quite pleased that their work is sold, all of that would be good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we almost probably need a poetic press release. I don't mean literally a poem, but I think there's a lot of beautiful sentiment attached with what we're trying to communicate. And people's feelings about being able to purchase art rather than just the facts, the numbers and how many. Just really try to get in there and massage it. So it's almost we're positioning for artists to want to bring their artwork to us.
I'd like to help write that.
Oh, good.
And also any artists that have connected with their purchasers. I mean, is that rare that they build a connection and a dialogue based on what they were going through, or like the people that live in Oakville, their house burnt, or actually not Oakville.
I think it just depends on, it just depends on the customer if they want that to make that connection from what I've seen.
Yeah. And I'd be happy to talk to any of them. You become friends with these people after a while. But a lot of them don't want a personal story attached to it, but some do, or some might. I think some will.
Just a thought.
Easy to do.
My thought also, I think that those are all good comments. My thought also is, in a more pragmatic sense, since we're going to go before the council and ask for the purchase of Polly and Raven, that it would certainly help to have, some positive publicity and general, knowledge throughout the town that, no, the art walk isn't taking money away from, the town coffers. We're actually adding money into the town coffers, and not, in a very real bottom line kind of way. So,
excellent.
So I think that'll make, the job of all of us in convincing our friends and neighbors, no, this isn't costing any, believe it or not, it's not costing any money. And then, and then just titling maybe the press release like Yountville Art sold out, just to create.
Sold out to who, Cindy?
Sold out.
Doesn't it have a bad connotation too?
I know, exactly. It's like, anyhow, that's all.
Good.
That's a good point, because I know in some of the comments we read about the art walk, this was a while ago, but people say, well, enough, we have enough artwork now. And I think maybe they are concerned. I think that's such a valid point, that we're self-sustaining by promoting and selling more. We're not taking money from anyone. We're supporting ourselves and the town.
So are we through?
I think
with
we're,
marketing
I
yet?
think, yeah.
I think so.
Drop
Got
the
lots of
mic. I
notes.
think it's time to drop the mic.
Go, Cindy.
That's good. We're good.
Okay.
Move along.
Okay, so now we have the biggie to discuss, and that's Art Sip and Stroll. So does one of the members of that subcommittee want to get us started? Or Sam, do you want to? You gave us a lot of detail from the artist survey and all. Do you want to start with saying a few things?
Yeah, I can just kind of run through my compilation here that I was just thinking to include for reference for history, as well as just you all to kind of see that before the meeting, to see kind of what some of the statistics ended up being. And then we obviously, we sent out the artist survey, and so compiling some of the results to that too. So I'll just touch on some of the main points is that so we ended up having 50 artists and 2 artist groups. So when I say artist groups, one of them was the Napa Valley Photographic Society, and the other was the Veterans Home. And just to and then there was one nonprofit group, Hands on Global. So just to clarify, there was a weird note in the comments on one of the surveys about them paying, and those all were paid booths. So they didn't receive anything for free. They were just offered a space as a group instead of an individual artist. So I just want to clarify that no one got a free booth. So we did not have the ability to offer that. And unfortunately, we did have 2 artists who canceled the week before. So that brought our grand total to 53 different booths. So we also featured 6 music artists throughout the day at the 4 sites. We partnered with 15 wineries and tasting rooms, and I listed all of those. They also received a survey and a thank you letter as well. We had 4 nonprofit pouring partners this year, which was kind of the first year we formalized that. So that was a terrific partnership, and I think they were all happy to be there. We did sell out of the 600 tasting packages. We ended up refunding 7 for various reasons, which is actually pretty reasonable, I think. And then we also had 13 volunteers and 12 town staff that supported the event. So just I noted, and I also believe I attached, and we can look at the financials if you're interested, but our expenses were up considerably, which we knew because we added the tenting and the flooring and all of that, and a bunch of different rentals for the tasting pavilions. But it looks like from my preliminary numbers, which like I said, next month I'll have a better idea as all of those expenses post. I think we will have a slight profit, which is for me like a huge win, which is probably not a whole lot. We know this isn't a huge fundraiser. That's not why we do it, but I just prayed to baby Jesus that we would break even, and I think we achieved that goal. So
Excellent.
that was really exciting. So, and as Noelle and Rhonda and Robin know, along the way, I was so like, I know you want that, but I don't know if we can afford it. So it turned out really well to that. So we did sell the posters on the day of and before. We've sold 27 to date, and then each person who purchased a tasting package was also offered one. We sold 22 on the event day, and we're continuing to sell them. So they're available on our website. And I did ask Danielle today, this week, to start doing some more posts about those sales. So we've actually shipped, I think 4 or 6 of them now. So some people are buying them with shipping. One lady was in Europe and bought one and paid $25 to get it mailed to her. So so I did put some notes in there. Those are mainly things that I noted, and then just feedback from others. And I know like we had one of our great volunteers sent some notes as well. So things that, just to think about. So all the tasty pavilions were pretty well received. We did have a lot of, quite a few comments about people, who really wanted to stroll with their wine, and that being something that they enjoy doing every year, not being confined to a certain area. There was a lot of disappointment about not being able to buy a tasting package the day of the event, but so be it. As you know, we had traffic issues at California and Washington because of all the pedestrians. So we'd have to navigate that if we choose to do those sites in the future. You'll see in more detail under the survey information, most of our artists reported great sales. We had a couple that didn't, but I don't believe it was because of location. It may have just been what their offer and price point was, because the people around them had the best day they've ever had. So
Exactly.
yeah. And we know that our restaurants' tasting rooms were at capacity that whole day. So we know that there was success there. So the survey information I just gave us kind of a snapshot view, because SurveyMonkey's reports are very lengthy. So I tried to just kind of give you some snapshots. So we asked them, how would you rate the event overall? 24 out of the 31 who responded said great, 6 said good, and 1 said not great, or fair, sorry, 1 said fair. And so kind of the, one of the comments was not as much traffic behind the community center. Someone said, I didn't make any sales, but I thought the event was beautiful. We asked about the application process, which it sounds like Art Call is pretty great for everybody. It's user friendly. So I just like to ask that every year. Some of them were like, I don't even remember. I added that on because some of them applied last year and they were just grandfathered in. So they were probably like,
oh man, yeah, that's true, huh?
Yeah. We asked about the booth space. The comments were that it was hot. Yeah, it was hot. Most people didn't really like the 3 walls, which, was a kind of a part of our pandemic plan. So that's not something I hope to have to keep doing. Putting people farther from the music, farther from the food truck. People are asking for bigger spaces. So maybe that's something we offer in the future, is someone couldn't, pay for a double booth space. So people do you feel like the event was worth your time and fee? 29 out of 31 said yes. 2 said no. They feel there were a couple comments about it being an expensive show. Which I'm like, wow, we don't even cover our costs per booth. So
amateurs, I'm sorry, because
yeah. So what I thought was pretty impressive was 4 out of the 31 sold between $5,000 and $10,000 that day. So that I feel like is pretty impressive.
That's amazing. Yeah.
5 out of the 31 sold between $2,500 and $5,000. 8 of our artists sold between $1,500 and $2,500. And so just 4 that responded out of the 31 sold under $500. So I think that's pretty impressive. 30 said they would return in the next year. So then I asked a question about, for those who participated in 2019, 5 of them said their sales more than doubled, and 11 said that they were better above 2019. So I think it's pretty impressive.
Fantastic. Good job, you guys.
Yeah. So there was just, I did compile all the, suggestions, which were great. Some of them you just have to look at as, part of our pandemic plan were the limitations that we had. And so of course, in the future, we hope that we don't have those limitations. So I think that, we still get some of the same, it's too spread out.
It was, people were walking back and forth all day.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear, having been at Veterans Park most of the time, most of the time, half the day, I'll say, people were coming and going all the time. They got it from all of your information that you had sent them, from all the signs, everything. Personally, I didn't hear anybody complain about it. Artists might complain, but they were doing well. Veterans Park was busy, and the
Yeah.
food truck and the Mr. Toast or whatever, he was
Yeah, Team Toast.
he
They were
was
great.
so fun. Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
Sam, I have a question because you mentioned in
Yeah.
your notes that we made a couple $100, a few $100 or whatever, but your chart shows that we made over 2,000
Or
net for Art Sip and Stroll. It's at the end.
oh, okay. Yeah, it's just because I was also anticipating because I have expenses that haven't been booked as well as revenue that hasn't been booked on your report. So it's on the report. So that was kind of, it should hopefully be between 1 and 2,000, but there's just some small things that I haven't added in yet. So.
And if that paid for the tent, that was huge. What, 10 grand or something just for the tent?
Oh, for the, I was just gonna pull that up. For that, that tent and flooring was about, I want to say it was 5,000, just about. So can you guys see my spreadsheet? No? Okay, hold on.
I've got it up, but but all in all, as you say, wow, we cleared it with all of these additional expenses, which gives us a look forward to next year when maybe we can actually bring in some money.
Yeah,
amazing.
I hope so. Are you able to see it now?
No.
No, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I can,
There
it
it
was,
is.
it was in your packet as well, but,
We haven't.
so just so you know, the recap, and Rhonda was talking about it, our main expense increase was in the rental category, of course. But it does, you know, on the spreadsheet appears that we'll net about $2,300. That'll kind of fluctuate just a little bit, but it still ends, you know, in a really good spot. So so that's exciting. Yeah. And so I think that, you know, I posed a couple questions, and obviously you will just want to, you know, discuss and, you know, provide any feedback and talk about how y'all think it went. But something on my mind right now is a date for next year.
Yes.
Because we need to be planning that far out. And so something to talk about is how, you know, do we want to stay in June? Do we want to, you know, we were in the last week of April, and then we went to the second Saturday in June. So kind of thinking about that date now, I think is kind of pertinent. The rest of it is something we can discuss as we move forward. But I think we should probably discuss that date after you're done talking.
So does anybody want to go back to April, or are we in agreement to stay with June? So anybody want to weigh in?
I think June is a good month. It seems there's more people out. It seems we are not in conflict with anything at this point. I just feel like in the summertime, people are just more out, and the weather is nice. Yes, it can be hot, but chances are we won't get rain.
I would worry about the heat. I mean, the weekend before Art Sip and Stroll was 108.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
That would be horrid. People would stay home, I'm afraid.
It's hard to predict the weather. If we do it in April, we could get rained out. If we do it in June, we can get heated out. So I think it's really more of, personally, of how we feel about an event in either April or June for town and for the community.
Is May out of the question?
Or May.
Like the first or second weekend of May, a little earlier, so it's not so hot, less likely to rain, though we've never been rained out in how many years?
I don't think we have.
No, we haven't.
That. Yeah.
So I'll just weigh in that I do prefer May over June, just because this year because of the pandemic, workload wise it worked out, but as we return to normal, June is going to be a pretty rough month for us. So I feel like May would be my preference, obviously not Memorial Weekend, but any of the other weekends. Just because I think once, as I know right now, once we're kind of returning to full load within the Parks and Recreation Department, having it in June is going to be really difficult for us.
So
Do you have a preference on which?
can you then check the calendar,
Yeah.
and come up with a date that looks good? Because I think we've got Mother's Day in there, we've got Memorial Day in there, and I don't know what other major events might also be in there. But I don't think
Graduation.
if Noel and I are going to stay on the Art Sip and Stroll committee, I don't think we care. Noel, correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
We're gonna work
I
for
didn't know.
whatever
I didn't
day
know that.
you all
Yeah.
like. So
I didn't know that May was even in play. I thought it was June or April. So I'm certainly open. Most importantly, checking with the town's commitments, I would imagine that we're not and obviously, Sam, you have your schedule with Parks and Rec
yeah,
and the community center, just so we don't have conflicts, and maybe throw some dates out there.
Yeah, so looking at May 2022, the weekend of the 27th is Memorial Weekend. So that would be the Saturday 28th. So I would look at the 21st, May 21st, because Mother's Day is the 8th. So it would avoid that. And then we already have a wedding booked for the 14th. So it would be the 21st.
it might be worth looking too into school schedule in Napa, because if kids are just getting out, there's graduation. I don't know how significant that would be, but a lot of those activities are on the weekends.
Yeah, so we would miss that by about 2 weeks, 3 weeks actually. So
in June.
yeah, so it would be the second week of June would be graduations.
Great.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And Memorial Day, I don't know if Bottle Rock is going to go back to that weekend or not, but obviously
They probably
a
will.
lot going on then.
Yeah, I think avoiding Memorial Weekend because it's just so busy anyways is probably
Totally.
a good idea. Yeah.
That
Well,
sounds
what
like-
I'll do, so I'm going to put it in the calendar as tentative for May 21st, and then I'll do a little research on valley-wide events and just make sure we're not landing on something, that we shouldn't be, and then just email out to you all that, whether we should look at a different date or not, if that sounds
Super.
okay.
And was earlier in the month also a possibility, early on in May, even prior to Mother's Day?
Yeah, so that would be it. Well, April 30th is the first, it's a Saturday, and then the next weekend is Mother's Day. It's kind of weird how the days fall. And then we have a wedding. So we could do the 7th, which would be the day before Mother's Day, but I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
think that's great. Yeah.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah. So it's really would limit us to the 21st in May.
Under, I like May. The other thing, when you have things to discuss for 2022, I was looking at the comments and just being next to Michael, Michael Shear at the end of the day. He was having trouble with the Wi-Fi too, and a lot of people mentioned that. So I would add that to the list of things to discuss for 2022.
Yeah, I already started doing some research on how to bring in Wi-Fi hubs for an event. So yeah, that came up a lot. So I started doing some kind of cursory research on that. I mean, we know Yountville's cell service is unreliable, and that's obviously an issue. So there are things that you can rent and bring in for the day that can help with that. So
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And didn't the town have some interaction around the 17 fire with AT&T? I mean, I have AT&T and I can't get internet around the community center plaza. I can't even get it in my backyard off of Oak Circle. But that's not a problem because I can walk in and get Wi-Fi in the house. But
yeah, so
AT&T
AT&T service in Yountville is horrible, and I
Horrible.
switched to Verizon after the fires. And to my knowledge, they really haven't made any improvements since then, AT&T's towers. So
there's nothing Steve and the town can, or John Dunbar can do to
no, it's
push
all
them?
it's all financially driven, and so Verizon has towers that service us and are close enough, and AT&T can't probably find any to rent. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
But we can't
not-
ask the artists to go to a different phone company.
No.
So
No, we could just be clear as well. I did clearly tell them in 3 sets of emails that, they cannot necessarily count on Wi-Fi to be available to them, but, most of them then obviously didn't come up and test anything prior. So when you don't have access to Wi-Fi and then you have bad cell service, it's just, nothing's going to work. So, I think what we can do is just try to, at least improve that a little bit for the day with some Wi-Fi hubs in different places. And that's something that's pretty common these days at large events, like Bottle Rock brings them in, because, when you have so many people in one area on these networks, it just overwhelms the system. So I don't know the cost of that yet, but it is something that I started researching. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Let me get to one thing real quick. It's not it was a big deal for you, not for us, but the traffic situation. Can't the sheriff's station in Yountville just take care of that Washington, California intersection for say from 10:30 to I don't know, 5:30 the whole day? Have a couple of deputies that's what they're going to do that day?
Yeah, so what we're talking about probably is bringing in like their auxiliary for the day. So not necessarily, a deputy, but someone who's qualified in uniform to do traffic control there. We obviously will have to do something like that. Yeah, we just didn't get ahead of it. And then they had limited resources available that day. So it's really managing the pedestrians more than anything, because it's the constant pedestrian cycle that caused the backup. So
some crossing guards will help.
Just someone to be there the whole day and prepared to manage that. So yeah, we've already talked about that with the new sergeant in Yountville for next year. So
it's very definitely a be careful what you wish for scenario.
Yeah, and I actually remember this from when we did do the event in multiple locations, but of course I didn't remember it till the day of when it happened again. So but it wasn't nearly as bad. Like, it was nuts. So yeah, it's on the list, and we will get support from them for sure.
So you also mentioned the winery format in your list. I thought it was absolutely remarkable, and to my observation, flawless, Sam, the way the tent in Yountville Park and our Veterans Park and the pavilion in the Generations Room, your staff, obviously your organization, it was all there, and it was all very clear. I thought most people were happy.
Mm-hmm.
I know that because I pulled 3 wineries that were there that happened to all be in the Generations Room. And they liked it. I think one in particular mentioned liking to be out there with the artists.
Mm-hmm.
As people like to be able to pick up wine. Is there a thought that we could maybe do both, or one or the other? Because you're the main man, and it's a lot of work on your part.
Yeah, so Jim mentioned this to me like right after, and I was like, no, like, I am not doing this.
I heard that.
But then when I stepped back, I was like, okay, what were the main issues, and why was it so labor intensive? And it was really managing the time, having to schedule these people and making basically 600 dinner reservations and then getting them in and out and things sanitized. So once I stepped back and I was like, okay, well, we could definitely have tasting pavilions where they still have their tickets that they get their taste with. And, it's more in one area. And maybe they can walk around, like for instance, if we did have the layout the exact same this next year as we do this year, they could wander the community center property with their glass of wine. There's no reason that we couldn't have that. And then down at the Veterans Park, there's no reason they couldn't go into the pavilion, talk with, the wineries, and then wander the artists with their glass of wine in Veterans Park. So as long as we're containing people to those large areas, those are definitely things that we could still implement. I think that for me, and something we've worked really hard on is trying to space and put wineries in places where like not certain ones are getting just slammed all the time, because some, will end up, we had it in 2019 where some over at B Marketplace ended up pouring way more cases of wine than others because of where they were located. So I think that I'm not sure if I would want to do both, because my nervousness is like, if I put one or two outside at the community center and then the rest in some sort of pavilion, those ones that are outside are probably going to get hit really hard. And I don't know how to necessarily prepare them for that because I won't know. But I think that either one could definitely be manageable. Either we have pavilions set up like we did this year, but it's more of a free flowing in and out. And it's not like sit down and claim your spot for the day. Maybe we do a couple high tops, have someone stationed there to just rotate and clean up. Or we could kind of go back to the model that we had before where we put them out amongst the artists. So I think either one would work well. And obviously financially, we know we can make either one work fine. So I think it's just a matter of preference. I know that, the wineries did seem to feel like they had the opportunity to have more conversation with the tasting people than they have in the past, where it's like shoving your, the cup because there's like 1,000 people standing around you outside. So
I heard a lot of comments. People enjoyed the opportunity to sit down, take a little break, sit down, and then get up and go back and, look at that piece again that they were talking about, or go back and wander through some different areas. Yeah. So that was a nice bonus.
Yeah. And we could do that too.
Would that be? No, go ahead.
I would say it might also, as we evolve into 2022, depend on perhaps V Marketplace venue might open up again. It's a little early to make that call. Sam, you might agree, but all good conversation about how well it worked.
I definitely think if we, I would probably, once we have the date set, really start working on what the format will be now and trying to meet with the V Marketplace people. I still don't feel all that confident that we'll get anywhere because of some other things going on, but you never know. But I think you're right, Rhonda, is that we have time to decide on that. And we know, financially, that's always my concern too, is that, because I don't want to come out this event being a loss, because that's not how we're structured. We don't need to make a lot of money, but we can't lose any. That we know it'll all work out. And I think that never having done it before, we did it, and I hope to never have to do it like that specifically again. But knowing that, the success of the pavilions, I think is great too. And then knowing as well that we limited it to 600 and we don't have to do that in the future. So hopefully if it's so hard because I want to make these finite determinations, like we're not going to have to do that again, but I am still a little nervous. But I'm hoping we will never have to do that type of a thing with COVID again. So, but yeah, I think we can definitely continue that conversation and see how we want to offer it in the future.
Now, I'm sure everyone knows what I'm going to say in your own experiences with Sam and your own committees, but I have to say, Sam, thank you. You were absolutely amazing in supporting
Amazing.
us renegades. We were like children, and we would be going along, and then we'd say, Sam, but can't we have umbrellas, pretty red umbrellas? And Sam would say, well, I don't know, we have to check the budget. And then we were rather resigned to the fact that we probably wouldn't have umbrellas, but we felt, okay, at least we asked, it was good. And then suddenly there are red umbrellas and there are plants. We asked for plants. Everything just kept showing up. And as you all see, it did not break the bank because Sam was all over it. So I know this is such a heartfelt thank you from all of us for all your support you give all our committees. We are
I just
very,
love,
very
I mean, I love
fortunate.
being able to make your vision come true. And if I can ever do that, I want to do that. And I think that, I honestly want to say, that working with Peak Productions and the discount that he gives us, and we would not have, there would be no way we could have done this without them, because I have to get 3 quotes because of our purchasing policy. And, it would have been almost 3 times as much to do what we do. We were through another tenting company. And so, they're just an amazing company to work with. And really, we couldn't have pulled this off without them financially or otherwise.
So Noelle, are you calling Sam the adult in the room?
The adult in the room.
The adult, and yes, but the
checkbook.
very wonderful adult that the children always remember and tell stories when they grow up of all the wonderful things they did.
So something I just wanted to plant the seed with is we did, had event planner assistance in prior years. We didn't this year, but going out of this year and knowing, we're down a staff person in our department, and, how that's all going to land. So I definitely think that's something that we need to, keep in the back of our minds, is that, as this event continues to grow and evolve, we probably need to, again, bring on someone that can assist.
Absolutely.
We think that needs to be in the front of our minds.
Yes.
Really. You have just been so there for all of us and for your day job too.
Yeah.
By the way.
And we also, with the Guy Buffet and the poster, and had the great, terrific graphic design support that we had through your contact, Rhonda. I think that's definitely something we found to be super helpful and super reasonable. So I just had that on the list as well, that I think, and for me too, going into next year, I'm more prepared to say, these are the collateral things we need going into the event. So It's not so last minute for him, like, oh, I need 3 Facebook formatted ads or whatever. But I think that was a huge asset for us, was that partnership. And
that's great. And he's on board if we want him. So that's good.
I won't go through it in detail, but I will send you out an email. The Chronicle Hearst provides me all the statistics from our campaign for the event that we sent them. So it's actually pretty impressive, the number of impressions, for the budget that we got. And so, and the number of click-throughs, and, it's all these amazingly, exciting, huge numbers. So I won't take, they send me a PowerPoint presentation, so I won't show that to you, but I will forward it to you, just so you can see the value in that contract. So we dropped the amount down this year to just $3,000 instead of $5,000, but I think we really still did really well as far as what we got for that. And I also wanted to share just a couple website statistics. Hold on just a second. I have to find Danielle's email, because I thought it was pretty cool to see kind of the reach of the event and our website and the things that, we push out. So, sorry, where'd it go? No, I can't find it. So where did it go? Oh, dang it. Okay. Well, I can't find it. I'll send that to you too. But it was really cool because if you looked at the Art Sip and Stroll website, Danielle put a pop-up to join our mailing list. And I believe we had over 160 new people join our email list. So they'll be getting our newsletters and everything through that. And then she also provided some great statistics on visitors to the website. And just as a reminder, the website will be up and live all year long. So hopefully our artists may get some residual business from people who land there, and we'll probably plug some promotion in. We could do so around the holidays. Don't forget to support your local artists, through the holidays, and we can continue that promotion for them year round until we start again. So.
Great.
So does anybody want to add anything? Or have we covered it for now? It really positive feedback we're getting through you, Sam. So that's great. So, okay, I guess we've covered Art Sip and Stroll for the time being.
Oh, I just found it. You want me to say it's pretty fun to hear this. So,
Okay.
So from Danielle, from May 1st to today, which was Friday, we had 16,279 website sessions on artsipstroll.com.
Wow.
And that was from 12,594 unique visitors. So that's pretty impressive. And we actually had 219 people sign up for the mailing list. So that's pretty exciting. Let's see. And then on Instagram, between May 1st and June 7th, we reached 1,400 accounts and had content interactions. I don't really even know what that means, with 864 accounts. So like I think that means someone tagged us or something, but those are good numbers. So.
She had Instagram just on fire with the artists and beautiful art. I mean, it was constant. It was amazing.
Yeah. Some good stuff.
Yep. Okay. So let me move along. Any staff informational reports that we have not heard?
No, I just did want to mention that on July 20th, sorry, my window's open and there's a child on a scooter in my front yard. On July 20th, we are bringing forward the Raven and Polly request to the town council. So that I believe is still a virtual meeting, I think. I get confused. I will confirm that tomorrow if we're still virtual or not. But I know that Rhonda and Jim will be on, and we've been working together on that staff report. And I think it's reading really well. We'll make some final changes. And then I also wanted to note, we talked about this briefly before everyone was on. So we did do interviews for the Arts Commission positions, terms that are ending. And then there was a delay until the 20th meeting when the council approves the results and confirms them. And then we'll announce if there's any change on the commission at that time. I just had one more thing. Okay, I don't know, it'll come to me.
I have one. I could ask this directly, but I'd like some other input. For the 20th meeting for Jim and Rhonda, since I was the one that voted no, do you want me to join in? Do you want me to make a statement? Do you want me to, they might want to know why I voted no. And how will you approach that?
I hope, honestly, in my heart of hearts, that Cindy, you had positive things to say. Noelle, you did it as well. Kim, I hope that all the arts commissioners will be there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
If called upon.
Okay, good.
Answer. I've got some statistics that I'm going to share with the council in a note ahead or email ahead. And any of you who want to lend support or not support, that's our option to contact the council ahead. But during the meeting, Kim, you're the man, so
Can we get a link? Can we get a link so we can get that on our calendars, or just at least a date and approximate
Yeah, it's
time?
July 20th and the council meeting starts at 3 p.m. that day. And it's an admin item, but tomorrow I should have a better idea of what time it'll come up.
Great.
And then
Oh,
I'll also confirm if
that's-
it's in person or not.
And that's
Yeah.
a 3 p.m. meeting. Okay, good to know. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's at 3 p.m.
I have a question.
Oh, it's
Are we,
3, it's 3, it's not 10?
No, it's 3 p.m.
Okay,
We either do, yeah, the interviews started earlier, but 3 or 6 is the council meetings.
I thought I saw 10 on the town calendar for the council meeting a couple of days ago, no? Or the
I don't
20th,
think so.
I don't
No,
think
they
they
don't
ever
need.
done that. No.
Mm-mm.
okay. Okay,
Sam,
Yeah.
I know that we're not allowed to, you know, gather and discuss stuff outside of meetings, but in, you know, except in small groups, subcommittees. But for this, can we look at the, you know, the staff report beforehand and the argument, you know, that can Rhonda like reach out, or Jim reach out to, I mean, you know, reach out to us, or have a,
So we kind of what we can really, what I think is the most comfortable way of presenting it is to, in what we've really done is kind of try to recap the minutes and I'll attach the minutes from that meeting as well, so that they're able to review that in detail. So because we don't really want to bring forward conversations that you've had outside of the Arts Commission meeting as a way of, you know, saying yes or no to them, we really just want to focus on what you discussed in the meeting. And then you're always able to either submit an additional public comment through the website or email, or you can, if it's in person, and I'll check with Michelle about how many people can actually be on the meeting that day. If it is virtual, you might be able then to even speak, you know, verbally, but if not, you would be, you're able to submit an additional public comment to the agenda item for the meeting as public.
do you think that it's helpful to solicit public comment from other non-commission members to, or is that not a?
I think that it's always beneficial to let the public know that things are coming forward and invite them if they're interested, but it's not, you know, I definitely would be cautious of like, hey, tell them you want this, you know, but I think to make sure that people are aware that, you know, this is moving forward in the community, I think is totally fine. I think it just helps, it helps the public process when more public are involved. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and the way that they would know that is because the agenda is put out there before the council meeting, and so if
Certainly
they
by
have,
Yeah, and
Friday, it should
sometimes
be up,
the
right?
Yountville Sun picks things up ahead of time, or the Yountvillean picks things up ahead of time. So, you know, there are sometimes, you know, in the media, sometimes something's exciting and they'll say it's on the agenda coming up. So that can be a way of that too.
okay.
When does the agenda come out?
So the meeting's on the 20th. The agenda should be out by the Thursday before. So that would be the 15th. So this Thursday,
Okay.
it should post. Yeah.
Okay.
But I did, but of course I just want to say too, like, although the town council agenda won't post till Thursday, your agenda and your minutes have been posted. And so it's not like it's not public record that this is moving forward. So I just want to disclaim that. So it's not like a secret that this is coming forward to the council on the 20th. So you don't have to necessarily wait until the agenda is posted to tell people that this is coming for conversation, because it's already in the Yountville Arts agenda and minutes as well.
So just to recap, there are basically two ways to weigh in, right? You can either do the public comment. There's a tab on the website. You can do that, or I've tended to, if I feel strongly, email directly to the different town council members. So that you can also just send them an email as well. So
Yeah, so in anything that is put as public comment, so like if you send an email to the council members, the mayor then sends it to Michelle to put in public comment. So you can do it either way. They get a copy of it either way. So yeah,
Okay.
does that make sense?
Mhm. Okay, so any commissioner comments? Rhonda, anybody else?
Check out the Napa Valley Museum website update. We're open. The sort of grand opening is going to be in September. But the museum is open. We're getting guests. It's functioning. We're back, and there are a lot of new exhibitions coming up that are on our 2021-22 horizon. So it's very positive, and it's all moving forward. So yeah, I think that's it, Jim.
Okay,
The website has it all.
yeah. Anybody else before we adjourn? Sam, you got it? Have you covered everything?
Yeah, I can't, something popped in my head and then it went away. So must not be important.
Oh, okay. And if it is important, you'll let us know, right?
You know where to
Yes.
find us.
I
Yeah.
do.
Okay, so productive meeting. So let's adjourn at this point. Thank you, everybody.